What is up, Fit Pros? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Fit Pro Business Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a brand new series where I'm going to be interviewing in the trenches fitness business owners, and we're going to be learning about their start in the fitness industry, their successes and their struggles with their business, as well as what keeps them motivated. So if you're wanting to move your business forward faster and learn from business owners that are currently doing it, then stay tuned in. Today, I have the great luxury of interviewing Tyler Guzzo of Tyler Guzzo Fitness Systems. Welcome to the show, Tyler.
Thank you for having me, my friend. It's an honor.
So how did you get started in the fitness industry?
Well, to be honest with you, it's kind of a long backstory, but essentially I was in physical therapy first. I worked in physical therapy and I did that for not really that long. I got my personal training certificate just to build my resume. Mm-hmm. And then as I was working in physical therapy and had a couple of clients on the side, I was just like, man, I kind of like this better because I was a physical therapist assistant. I wasn't a physical therapist. So it was like, I always knew in the back of my mind I was going to have a boss. There might be some contingencies. And although I had some awesome physical therapists that I work with, ultimately, if I got somebody that was like, you know what, Tyler, you need to do this, this, and this with this patient. That's what I was doing. And I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur, man. Like that's, and call me stubborn or call me an entrepreneur, one of the two. But like, I want to do what I want to, I just want to kind of do things my way. And I knew that I was doing things with educated, information. And so I'm like, man, I have great PTs now, but what happens in the future if I don't? I kind of want to do my own thing. And I always wanted to do a business, just never really knew what it was going to be. And then I got in physical therapy and it just kind of formulated from there. And so what I would do, I'm actually from Iowa, as you can see this over here. I got my Iowa banner. So I'm from Iowa. And then that's where I went to school at, and I moved down to South Florida 3 years ago, almost to the day today. And my buddy came down here to start a gym. Well, that didn't really work out, and he basically invited me down here on vacation to come, kind of help him run the business. Yeah. And so I came down, and I loved it. I was like, this is amazing. This is phenomenal. Well, I basically made the decision to move down after I'd been training at like a Gold's Gym and doing therapy on, up in the Midwest. And he told me, like, as I'm coming down, it's not going to work out. The gym thing isn't happening. I'm like, crap. But I'd already made the decision. It was already in my head, like, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
So I moved down, and, I'm down around Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. So I knew there's a ton of fitness people down here. And I knew that, it was a big thing, and everyone wants to stay in shape, and everyone's trying to look good in the sun, and, clothes are optional sometimes in some areas. So it's like, okay, this is a better place and better off here than staying in the Midwest trying to build a fitness business. So I got a job at a outpatient clinic, and I was working outpatient. And then what I did is I had like one old lady that I trained in the morning. So I train her in the morning, and then I go work my shift at the outpatient clinic as a physical therapist assistant. And this started in 2017 when I actually had my own business going when I started it. And I live in a big community full of apartments, and it's around like a school, around a university. And I'm like, man, I got to get my name out there somehow. No one knows who I am. I don't know anybody but my roommate, and he works third shift. And I didn't want the help. I was like, I need to do this on my own. I need to figure it out. And I'm like, how can I get the name out there? And so kind of like we talked about before we hopped on here, I was doing guerrilla marketing tactics. I printed out some word processor flyers, and I'd pass them out in like grocery store parking lots. There's a Publix across the street. It's like grocery store, passing that out and trying to, approaching people outside their cars and just doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm like, God, this isn't working. How am I going to get my name out there? So I went into the management of my apartment complexes, and there's a big basketball court here. And I was like, guys, I want to do something here for the residents and, just people in the community. What do you guys think about doing like a group class here? And I kid you not, like, I can't even make this up, Andy. This guy who worked there was like, that's so funny. We actually just had a meeting yesterday, the day before I walked in there, talking about how they wanted to get some sort of exercise class going for the community. Yeah, they had a guy who did Herbalife in there like before me, and he stopped doing it. And he's like, you must have got our call. I'm like, I didn't get any call, but I'm here now, so let's do it. And it just so happened that the manager, her dad is from Iowa. So like we connected like that. She's like, you have your certifications? And I was on my way to work anyways. I was on the way to my outpatient clinic job anyway. So I'm dressed in my khakis, my polo, and I had all my licenses in my hand, my insurance. I was like, there it is. And right there, she just said, let's just start. So I got a good deal with them. And from there, man, it just, the boot camp was going. So I had the elderly lady in the morning, the boot camp at night.
Yeah.
And I just, from there, it just was a grind and trying all these little
Right.
things. And then eventually, about a year and a half later, I quit my job at the physical therapy clinic, and now I'm full-time. I've been doing full-time for about a year now, just working for myself. So it's been great.
That's awesome. So right off the bat, you knew you had an entrepreneurial spirit that, basically be having somebody else outline a program for you or kind of outline what your job wasn't going to be for you. And so you transitioned and you took like action. Like I think a lot of times when people are getting into the industry, they can be frozen with inaction because of uncertainty. But obviously, I mean, you moved out of your area, which is out of your network, and you just, you knew what you wanted and you stayed after it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's the biggest thing. As working with clients, analysis paralysis is the thing that holds people back.
Right.
There's so much information out there. There's so much. I mean, this goes with starting a business and weight loss. I mean, a lot of things with the internet. There's so much information. It's like, well, I don't know what's left and what's right. And I found that the best way to do it is to find like one or two sources that you trust and follow that.
Yep.
And on top of that is just take action, like insane amounts of action. I mean, like so much action that, even if going around in grocery store parking lots, handing out flyers is kind of a ridiculous thing. It makes for a funny story now. And, I know for a
Right.
fact, I always told myself is if you do it, for a fact it didn't work out. Like if on my deathbed, I said, you know what, I should have tried that training thing. Well, even if it didn't work out, I'll say I tried it, man. I gave it a good go. And that's the same thing with any tactic, anything, should I get business cards? I don't know. Get them, see what happens.
Yeah.
Should I get shirts? I don't know. Try it, see what happens. And that's how you get the best experience. And if you don't try it, you'll just never know for sure, because it might work for somebody. It might not work for you, or it might not work for somebody, but it might work for you based on your personality, your skills, your tactics, whatever.
Right. And imperfect action ultimately is better than no action at all.
100%.
And I think too, I talk about this a lot in a lot of my episodes, is when you're being proactive in your business, you're actively seeking leads and new business, getting out into the community, doing things maybe that are off the wall or not what a current marketing pro would be doing. You're still being proactive in your business, and it creates what is I call a ripple effect. And you start getting leads into your business that aren't even from the actions that you have actually been doing, like handing out flyers or what have you, but you start getting leads from other areas, maybe your website, referral, phone calls. Just it creates this ripple effect in your business because you're putting out that you're trying to build business and you're being proactive in seeking new business.
Right. Yeah. And I think along with what you just said, you don't come off as so desperate, right? Because you know that you're reaching out in all these different areas. So it's one of those things where if you're only going to one market, you really need that one person or whoever it is to come into your business, because you really like this is my bread and butter. Whereas if you're putting in different areas, you're like, okay, well, it's fine if I don't get anything here, then maybe somebody from my website will show up, or maybe the flyer that I handed out or whatever, and it gives you peace of mind. And it also shows in your actions that you are not just some really desperate trainer trying to get a client, that you don't have any clients or anything like that.
It's multiple marketing avenues. I use the analogy of fishing. If you only having one pole in the water, you're only going to catch one fish at a time. But if you have several poles in the water, you're going to catch lots of fish. It's the same with marketing. If you have different marketing buckets where you can generate leads for your business, the more that you can manage, the better.
Right. Right.
So what are some of the things that you learned from doing the physical therapy assistant that you were able to take from there and transition into your own business, and how has that helped with your success? Or even maybe didn't, I think you can learn from things that they did well or things that you didn't like. So what kind of molded you to kind of where you are with your training business, and like, what did you take from there?
You mean like from a business standpoint or like a practice standpoint?
Business and practical.
I would say, to be honest, from a practical standpoint, from in practice, treating the person, right? So not just looking at not just looking at this as like, this is a weight loss client. This is a muscle gain client, whatever. I'm like, okay, this is Tom, and he works at the accountant firm, and he's got X amount of hours that he can, put towards training. And so if I give him a 3-hour workout to do on his own, or I give him like some crazy meal plan that he can't eat at his work because, his lunch, he works through his lunch sometimes, or he works 10 hours a day sometimes, then it's not going to work out. So treating the person as a whole, because in physical therapy, it's one of those things where, okay, we are trying to get you to a point where you can do your job again, right? You can do your ADLs. So if you are a rotator cuff, tear patient, right? You're recovering from rotator cuff tear, right? It's more important that you can reach up and grab dishes out, right? From the cupboard. So we're going to practice this motion. We're going to try and build the muscles in this area. Same thing with weight loss and muscle gain, not necessarily in that same kind of, manner, but as far as like we're fitting it to their lifestyle. So you got to fit. I think a lot of trainers are like, you're going to come in, you're going to do my style of training. You're going to do this, fit in my box. And, that might work for some people, but I found the best way to do it is like, you're a person, there's so much I'm going to give you, right? I can give you so much leeway before you have to kind of give me some back too, but you also have to be working in their realm. You have to work in their world and understand where they're coming from, not just see them as do X, Y, and Z. Say, okay, do X, Y, we can cut out Z because it doesn't fit your lifestyle, but you're going to have to work with me on this. And then in that way, they see that you're working with them and they understand that, okay, about my kids, about my dog, about my aspirations, my goals are like, this guy is not just in it for, a testimonial, some money and this. He's about my whole life. He wants me to improve my life. And that's, I think that's, ultimately why we all get into it. Sometimes it's just easy to get caught up in that, just, this worked for this client, it's going to work for everybody. Well, that's not necessarily the case, and from a business perspective, I would say basically the good thing was I didn't work for like a franchise. I worked for actually the owner of the company. She was actually a PT, and I have just insane respect for her. She's phenomenal. Like, just the work that she put in and everything. A couple of things I learned from her. Number one was, a PT called in or couldn't make it, or we had too many clients or too many patients for our PTs. She hopped in, she rolled up the sleeves and she got it going. Didn't matter what was going on. She got in there. And I was like, I respect that because I know that she has got a million things going on.
Right.
There was a couple of times I felt bad, but she'd be like, can you stay late? And I have my boot camp. And I was like, I just can't do it. But she completely understood and she would take over. Even though she has a life, she runs the business. She's making far less money treating this patient than she is making her big decisions in her office. I was like, I respect that. And number two is the patience she had. We would ask her some ridiculous questions that she's probably answered a million times, and she just take a breath. I'm going to answer your question. And as trainers, we get that a lot from from our clients. We might have sent them a meal plan. We might have sent them, a whole list of foods to have. These are good foods for your proteins. These are good foods to have for your fats. This is your calories or your percentages or whatever. And they're like, what is it again? What is it? And you're just kind of like,
I told you
again. Right. What was that exercise? You mean the one that we always say? Okay. So I just learned patience because it's one of those things where, we're all in that position. And if they come to us, if they're willing to pay someone money to help them exercise and essentially find a lot of information that's already out there, they're putting trust in us. They believe in us, but also too, they're frustrated. They're tired. They don't want to have to go through the rat race. So they're like, they're pretty fresh. Right. And so they come to us with expecting answers. And so it's important for us to be that guide for them, kind of like I talked about before, where you find one or two sources and you go with what they say. You don't go with every single source. Right. So that's kind of what I learned is the patience, being able to do what you talk about and roll up your sleeves and get in there. And then also just treating the person as a whole or working with the client as a whole rather than just, weight loss or muscle gain or whatever.
Yeah, I love that too, that you're saying that, because I've seen that a lot of times with trainers where, we're in the training world where we get fired up about maybe a specific training style or a high intensity interval or strength. We get fired up about it because maybe we're putting ourselves through it and we're excited about it. But maybe our client who comes in is not going to have the same enthusiasm as we do towards that training style. So looking at them as a whole and seeing what's going to work best for them, what's going to resonate with them, what does your client actually want, not what you want as a trainer.
Right.
Going to help them get to their goals.
Right. And along with what you just said, that was one of the biggest learning curves that I had was why aren't people doing the exercise? Like, why are they missing sessions, or like for boot camps, especially. And I'd be like, what the heck? I love this stuff. This is my thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, we're so enthusiastic about it, but that's not everybody, that's like, if you wanted me to go play the guitar, I wouldn't be that enthusiastic about it either. I don't want to play the guitar.
Yeah.
It's a good skill to have, although this is their health, but it's similar in the sense that that's just not my thing, And so for me to be enthusiastic about it, you got to kind of mix up the guitar sessions. You got to kind of, pizzazz it up a little bit.
Right.
And we as trainers, we are so far into fitness that it's our job now. Most of us started off as just liking fitness. Now we do it as a job. And so it's kind of hard for us to rewind back, like, okay, this is where I was when I started too. It was difficult. I maybe didn't like sweating as much. Maybe I didn't understand these principles. So it was frustrating, confusing, go down the rabbit hole of like what initial beginners are thinking. And we forget that we were there too.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So now that you've been in business for quite some time, what has been like the biggest struggle for you in your business, and how have you worked towards overcoming it, or whatever your projections to overcome it?
I would say basically, I think very similar to what a lot of people have said. I've listened to a couple of podcasts, and just finding clients, really, that was probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Finding people that trusted in what you're doing. And, honestly, I wish I could give like a big breakthrough moment, but I think it's very similar to what we talked about earlier. It's just dipping into every pool of ways to reach people, and on top of that, the biggest thing that I've seen, I guess the biggest thing that I have really no control over besides my own training, is referrals. That's been the biggest thing. People referring other people to me has been, beats any sort of marketing, any sort of Instagram post, Facebook post,
Right.
handing out flyers, giving out cards, going to events. I say going to maybe a vitamin shop or like a GNC and setting up a table. That's probably been one of the things that I've done that a lot of trainers around here don't do. And that has been proven to work pretty well because other people are vouching for you, right? So it's easy for us to say, I'm great. But when someone else that they don't trust you, they don't know you, right? So when someone else that they know and trust tells you, this guy's great, it's like a referral. Like a referral, but they've never trained with you. It's just the guy at the front desk saying, hey, we got Tyler, the trainer. He's standing right there. You're buying all these weight loss products. Maybe he can help you with that. Maybe not saying all that, but basically saying, yeah, go talk to Tyler. He's great. And I had a couple, for a while there, I'd go and I'd have people come talk to me, and people would sign up because just because they got that referral, that, roundabout referral from the cashier who's never trained with me, just knows me and likes me. So that helped a lot. But other than that, man, just testimonials, referrals, and that's been the biggest thing that's helped me kind of get to where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I've talked about that before in the past. I think what you're talking about with a nutrition shop is what I call reciprocal referral program, or reciprocal referral relationship. And you can tie yourself to a nutrition shop, to a massage therapist, to a chiropractor that send you referrals. And that's like you're leaning off of their professionalism because they're referring their clients to you. And so they are entrusting in you that you're going to provide the value to that and the results to their clients as well. So,
right.
Now, so what are some of your goals and your projections for your business?
Goals and projections, man. Well, to be honest with you, I'm kind of moving towards the virtual training like we were talking about before the call.
Yeah.
I do right now boot camps, personal training. I do fitness, blogging, for websites. I pretty much touch on it all. And then the online training. I'm going more towards online training right now. As far as projections, just be straight up honest, every year that I've been in business, including the time I was doing part-time, my revenue for my business has doubled. And actually one of my good buddies who was an entrepreneur in the exotic car industry, good buddy of mine, he was telling me, he's like, every year you should double your goal. So I'm trying to double, what I'm going to do. And I'm not sure if that's good business practice or what, but it's worked out the past 3 years. So I'm just like, you know what, that works. So, I'm trying to do that, and I'm trying to go more virtual because, again, I am from Iowa, and it's been 3 years that I've been down here, and I've been back home twice. It's like, So I love my clients, I love everybody that I work with, but allowing me more freedom to kind of go back and not be stuck in one spot necessarily, because you're just tied to the spot pretty much. So that's probably the one thing that I'm trying to do is get a little bit more virtual. That way I have more freedom to kind of go as I please and see my family back home a lot more. But, obviously travel and stuff like that's cool too. But that's my major goal is to be able to get back home a little bit more than I have been. But as far as projections, you mean like
just like what you're talking about, going towards online, maybe having a little more location freedom,
right.
Income, obviously you're looking to double your income. I mean, all those things are fantastic.
Yeah. I would say, pretty much those things, man. And I think that, especially with the online market, I mean, you could reach so many people. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I've had clients in the UK. I have a client right now in Oregon. I have a client back home, a couple back home, a couple that live like down the block, and they just don't have time to meet with me. So we do online. And, so yeah, that's pretty much my projections. I'm really excited about it because it is going very well. And another big thing that I would recommend any coach to do is to get a coach, a coach. That's been the biggest thing that has helped me. I mean, I've worked with several coaches now. So, you're going to find one coach that might, I know I said find one source and follow what they're saying. And I will say for that, when I'm with a coach, I'm listening to their content. I'm doing what they say and following their system. Of course, with my own background, with my own practice, but as far as business goes, that's changed a ton of stuff, whether it be from just pushing you, imagine if guys like us had trainers, we push ourselves in the gym. Yeah. If we had a trainer, it'd be insane, but because they would push us past our limits, whatever we think our limits are,
Yeah.
And so when you have a coach, they'll force you to kind of do things like start doing videos on Facebook, start doing lives, start, putting out some posts. I'm looking for 5 guys that are trying to build muscle, and things that you're not used to doing or feeling comfortable doing. You kind of in your head, you're like, okay, this person is doing what I want to do, is successful doing what I want to do, is telling me to do this. I kind of thought it was a good idea before, but now he's saying it, he or she is saying it. So I think it's a good idea. I might as well do it, might as well go for it, and kind of push you over the limit, push you past your threshold of what you're comfortable with. And inside our comfort zones that's the anti-growth, right? You got to get out of that comfort zone to see the big, massive growth. And, that's shown in the revenue that's been doubling every single year since I've had the business. So
absolutely. I think too, like in this profession, we get caught up in, the daily grind, or a lot of us are maybe tackling our businesses alone, and it can be entrepreneurship can be very lonely. So when you have a coach or a network of other fitness professionals that you can bounce ideas off of, that know that you have a support system that are going to hold you accountable. It's similar to like personal training. Like your client comes in, they're uncertain, but they know they've got a coach. They know that a coach is going to hold them accountable, what it is that their specific goals are. That's exactly what a business coach, or getting into some sort of inner circle of people that are in the same boat as you, that have the same goals and aspirations as well. So
yeah, no, 100. I mean, absolutely, because you feel the motivation. I mean, even if you feel like maybe you're not getting as much value, or maybe like, I kind of knew that information already. You see other people post and, hey, I just got another client, or, hey, I tried, posting this and I was super nervous, but it worked. And, people really resonated with it. And just seeing other people's success, it makes you want to do that and even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like you just said, I mean, it's amazing.
Now, for somebody that's looking to get into the industry, that's in the industry, do you have any additional golden nuggets or words of wisdom for them?
I would say, in most cases, for anybody who's trying to get into business, or anybody that wants to do this, number one, make sure that it's something that you actually really enjoy doing, working with people. Make sure that it's something you really, really want to do, because you'll be tested a lot, because there's going to be clients or days or times where you feel like things are difficult. Again, entrepreneurship is lonely. Make no mistake. It's not. At times it can be lonely. It's very rewarding on the flip side, but and in those times, if you're not doing it for the right reasons and you haven't fully defined this is what I want to do, then it's going to be hard to continue, because you're not in it for a concrete reason. And I would say along with that, number 2 is establish your goals. Make sure that you have like a set goal. Like you can't see it, but on my door, I have pinned up my yearly goals right there. And then on my calendar over here, I have my monthly goals, which they're reverse engineered. Like if I'm going to make this much money, that means I got to make this much per month. If I want to get, X amount of clients per year, I got to this much per month. So define what your goal is as far as like long-term and then short-term, and just reverse engineer that. That's the simplest way to make it to see the vision and go for it, because then you're attacking specific things.
Right.
And then lastly, you just realize it's not going to happen in one swing. The first swing is not, most likely the first swing is not going to be the home run swing. You might hit a bunt, you might strike out, you might get hit by the pitch. Like there's a million things that could happen on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth swing. But if you have those little goals like I talked about, you'll feel little wins. You'll feel like, okay, I got those little wins. Good. And that's going to keep you going. That's going to keep you feeling like I'm making progress. Because if you just look at that big long-term goal, I got to lose that 100 pounds, and I'm 2 months in, I'm only 10 pounds down. You got 5 pounds a month down, man. That's great, and I got to remind my clients that all the time.
Absolutely.
So that's something that I practice all the time, because, it's a journey. It's not just one swing of the bat. I'm here. We often see guys like yourself, he's got a podcast, he's doing great things. You started somewhere too. So,
absolutely.
And you got a long story, I'm sure, to tell. And so it's, I'd say those 3 things for sure. If you guys are starting off, do that.
I love that. So basically the goal setting program I talk about all the time, I talk about an easy system of goal setting. It's goal, strategy, action. That's exactly what you're doing. Your big goal, your strategy of how you're going to achieve that goal, and then taking daily action to achieve those goals that you have set for yourself. So I love that. And then also I love the singles. Hitting singles is going to eventually get you runs, right? Just like in a regular baseball game, and small wins creates confidence, and that's what keeps you moving forward. I think too, as a business owner, when you're getting started, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, I'm sure you've made mistakes. I know I've made mistakes, and I talk about them all the time. One of my mistakes I made is I started a second location like 5 years into my business in my hometown, thinking that it was going to be this awesome thing. And I ended up working twice as hard and having trouble finding trainers, and it was a complete disaster, and closed that and then focused on my business. But I mean, those are mistakes that that you make, but you learn from. And like now I have systems in place that if I were to open up a second location, it would fly, because I have the systems in place that I didn't have at that time.
Right. That's a big insight early on to hit.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyhow, I want to thank you so much for your time. I mean, you just provided so much value to the audience. And how can the audience connect with you, Tyler?
Yeah, man. Well, I want to say thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. This has been fun. But on Instagram, at Guzzo Fitness, Facebook, just my personal page, Tyler Guzzo. And I got a YouTube channel, nothing crazy, but it's Tyler Guzzo as well. So they can reach out if they have any questions. I'd be happy to answer. And again, man, thanks for having me on. This has been fun. So appreciate it.
I will include those links in the show notes. Hey, if you guys are in the trenches fitness business owners and you want to actually be on this podcast just like Tyler, go to www.fitprobusiness.com/breakthrough and schedule your time to have the interview just like Tyler and provide value to other personal trainers that are looking to get into the industry. Tyler, again, I want to thank you for your time and all the value you provided.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you.